All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft is officially in the books, and the defensive side of the ball ran things early on. We saw Georgia defensive end Trayvon Walker go first overall to Jacksonville. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson going second overall to Detroit. And then the Texans, they called an audible. And this really shook up the proceedings for the draft going forward. They took cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. third overall. We saw the New York Jets take cornerback Sauce Gardner fourth. And then the Giants taking defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau number six. Now, the run on offensive tackles began at number six with Carolina taking Ikem Okwanu. But then right after that, the Giants, after they took the pass rusher in Thibodeau at number five, they come back at number seven and they get Evan Neal out of Alabama to find offensive tackle. Did Atlanta reach by taking wide receiver Drake London at number eight? I mean, he was expected to go in the first round. I just didn't see him being the first wide receiver coming off the board, but nonetheless, he is now a member of the Atlanta Falcons. The Seahawks rebuild begins with taking offensive tackle Charles Cross at number nine. Remember, Seattle didn't have their own first round pick as it's property of Jets, but then they got the first round pick from Denver when they made the Russell Wilson trade. So now the process going forward begins with Charles Cross up front, and let's see what Seattle is going to continue to do in these draft proceedings over the next couple of days. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson going to the Jets at number 10, and you have a youngster at quarterback in Zach Wilson, so it's all about putting skill players around him. New Orleans trading up with Washington to go at number 11 to take wide receiver Chris Olave. And this was a shock right here, not from the Saints standpoint, but from Washington's standpoint, because I felt like Chris Olave would have been perfect for them. And they allowed not only the Saints, but a team in their conference to go out there and get a player that could impact them in a potential postseason push. Another head scratcher here. You had the Detroit Lions coming up for number 32 with the Minnesota Vikings, 20 slots to take wide receiver Jamison Williams. And of course, Jamison Williams suffered that ACL injury in the national championship game this past January. He's not going to be available as the season begins. That's number one. Number two, for me, if you're the Vikings, you have a team that moves up 20 slots. I would have tried to get a first round pick out of the Lions for next year. That's just me. Jordan Davis going number 13 to the Philadelphia Eagles, a run stopper. And you think about what Philly has on that D line with the likes of Fletcher Cox, and the Eagles traditionally have been known for their defensive line. So I think Jordan Davis fits in for them right there. Now, Kyle Hamilton, a lot of people felt he was going to be a top five pick coming in, had the bad 40 at the combine, and he dropped to number 14. But to me, I think he drops to a solid team here with Baltimore. Baltimore has always been known for their solid defensive picks, and I think him dropping him here, is going to impact him because I think he's going to be more motivated to come out there and prove a lot of his doubters wrong. The Texans reaching for Kenyon Green at number 15. That's something else to keep your eyes on here. I felt like both of the Texans picks were a little bit of a reach, so we're going to see how this plays out. Did Washington reach for Jahan Dotson at number 16? I mean, they basically passed on Chris Olave, who I thought was a better receiver. And I thought Dotson, to me, would have been available a little bit later on in the first round. Guard Zion Johnson going to the Chargers at number 17. And I think it coincides with what we've seen the Chargers do this offseason as far as putting and protecting your youngster quarterback in Justin Herbert. Now, here's where some of the excitement began. The Titans making the trade with Philadelphia, and they sent wide receiver A.J. Brown to Philly. And then in turn, they drafted his replacement in one Traylon Burks from Arkansas. And I mean, this guy, I think he has the ability to go in there and be an impact player for this Titans offense from day number one. Offensive tackle Trevor Panning going number 19 to New Orleans. And then here, This is something I expected to happen throughout the draft process, and that's Kenny Pickett going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 20. And I know the big question coming into the draft process was, Kenny Pickett's hand size. And I said all along, I said, hey, listen, this guy played in the cold weather in college at Pitt, same field that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. And you know what? He did pretty good. Had the glove on his left hand. And the thing is, for me with the Steelers organization, you go back about 40 years and Pittsburgh, 39 actually. They passed on a famous Pitt quarterback in Dan Marino. And, the Rooney family always regretted that because it was a situation where we saw the career that Dan Marino went on to have. And drafting him, could have been the perfect segue from Terry Bradshaw, and who knows how many championships the Pittsburgh Steelers organization would have had right now, and of course, Dan Marino as well. Nonetheless, who knows more about what Kenny Pickett can and can't do from an NFL standpoint than the Pittsburgh Steelers? They use the same facilities, obviously in the same town, and I think he has an opportunity to come into a good organization. And like I said, all along with these quarterbacks in this draft. You might not have quote unquote Hall of Famers, but nonetheless, it comes down to the system that each quarterback is going to be put in. And you look for Kenny Pickett, the Steelers have a very good defense. They run the ball and they have skill players at the wide receiver position. Plus, you have a veteran quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. So I think Trubisky will begin this season as the starter, but now you can ease Pickett in at some point this season. And again, like I said, the Steelers were going to take a quarterback early on because I don't really think that you could appease your season ticket holders going into the season and saying, you know what, Mitchell Trubisky is our long-term option at quarterback. Trubisky probably will get the nod to begin the season, like I said, but Kenny Pickett obviously is the long-term answer for the black and gold. Kansas City trading up with New England to take cornerback Trent McDuffie at number 21. The Chiefs, I've been saying this for the past couple of years, they need defensive help, and I think this pick was just simply 1 year too late. Linebacker Quay Walker going to Green Bay at number 22. Cornerback Khair Elam going to Buffalo at 23. Offensive tackle Tyler Smith going to Dallas at number 24 as the rebuild for that offensive line begins. Center Tyler Linderbaum going to Baltimore at number 25. And this is a typical Ravens pick. It's a value pick right here. You look at a guy generally when the Ravens select a guy in the first round, you have a starter for the next decade. And I think Tyler Linderbaum, excuse me, fits that mold. Now, the Jets trading back into the first round to take defensive end Jermaine Johnson at number 26. A lot of people felt that Johnson was going to go in the top 15. He falls to the Jets here, and maybe they get themselves a motivated player with a chip on his shoulders. The Jags trading back into the first round at number 27. They traded with Tampa to take linebacker Devin Lloyd. And Lloyd is a guy who can do a little bit of everything. So as Jacksonville looks to reshape their defense, and honestly, they just need athletes on the field on both sides of the ball. And I think Devin Lloyd definitely fits that mold. Defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt going number 28 to Green Bay as they look to fix things on the defensive side of the ball. Guard Cole Strange out of Chattanooga going to New England at number 29. Defensive end George Karlaftis out of Purdue going to Kansas City at number 30. And just like it was with McDuffie at number 21, I think this pick was a year too late. I said last year, obviously Kansas City got exposed defensively in a Super Bowl loss to the Bucks. They should have tried to plug some holes on that side of the ball in last year's draft, and maybe they probably get back to the Super Bowl and potentially win it with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Now things are a lot different for this Kansas City club this time around. Daxton Hill, the fine defensive back from Michigan, going to Cincinnati at number 31. Solid pick for the Bengals. They still need, to fix some things in that secondary after, we saw them lose in the Super Bowl. We've seen Cincinnati address the woes in their offensive line this offseason. So they're trying to keep up with the Joneses as they try to get back to the Super Bowl this year. Safety Lewis Seen going to the Vikings at number 32. And of course, this was a pick that the Vikings received from Detroit, which was originally property of the Los Angeles Rams. And if you're the Vikings, you got tremendous value with this pick here that you after you made the swap with the Detroit Lions. So for me, the winners of the first round, I'm first and foremost, I'm going to go with the New York Jets. You get arguably the best corner in the draft at number 4 in Sauce Gardner. You get yourself a wide receiver for Zach Wilson to get the football to, and then also you get an edge rusher in Jermaine Johnson. And you think about Robert Saleh, a defensive-minded head coach that the Jets have. He came from the 49ers as their defensive coordinator. And what did the 49ers do when Robert Saleh was there better than any other team in the NFL? They knew how to get after the quarterback, and the Jets definitely want to try to find a way to get after the quarterback. I look at the New York Giants with what they were able to do. Some people felt they were going to take the offensive tackle first, but the bottom line is they saw with no tackles being taken in the first 4 picks, it paved the way for them. They went out there and they got their edge rusher in Kayvon Thibodeau, and then they got their anchor on the offensive line in Evan Neal. And to me, I thought Evan Neal was the best tackle coming into this draft. I figured that he was going to go first or second, oh, pardon me, first overall to Jacksonville. Did not happen. So I think he fell into the lap of the Giants right there at number 7, especially after Carolina passed on him. And then for me, the Steelers. Just getting Kenny Pickett, a guy that you're very familiar with. You get your quarterback of the future. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger just wrapped up a stellar NFL career that began in 2004. And now, unlike how it was nearly 4 decades ago, the Steelers are hopeful that now they have their guy to segue to, and who knows what the future is going to hold for Pickett and the Steelers. On the flip side, the losers from round 1, I'm going to start with Jacksonville. To me, I thought a little bit of a reach for Travion Walker, first overall. Secondly, I do applaud the pick for Devin Lloyd, but for me, I think Jacksonville missed the boat as far as trying to protect Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you invested so much on him first overall last year, and he took a beating this past season as a rookie quarterback. And I figured Jacksonville needed to protect him up front, and they failed to address that early on in this draft. For me, also the Houston Texans. I think Derek Stingley was a first round pick, but I don't think he was a guy that you wanted to take third overall. And I thought that was a reach there, as was Kenyon Green at number 15. And if you're Houston, when you're picking that high, you cannot afford to take reaches. For me, with Detroit, you make the trade up 20 slots to take Jamison Williams. I don't get it. If you're going to make a trade that high, you have to get an impact player from day one. He cannot be that guy. And we don't know if he can ever be that guy as he comes off of the ACL injury. Kudos to the pick on Aiden Hutchinson. I expected the Lions to go that way, but then they just changed course and shocked a lot of people by doing what they did late or midway through the first round, rather. And then Washington. To me, I think making a reach on Jahan Dotson and then allowing New Orleans to take that pick and get a guy that could have impacted you in Chris Olave. We saw only one quarterback go in the first round. Not surprised. This is not a deep quarterback class, so to speak. But I think at some point tomorrow, we are definitely going to see more quarterbacks come off the board. Defense ruled the roost in the first round of this draft, and you think about what you have to do with so many quality quarterbacks, especially on the AFC side of the NFL. If you cannot get to them, if you cannot find a way to rush the passer, if you cannot find a way to slow down and contain some of these quality wide receivers out there, you're not going to win. And I think a lot of teams went out there to try to address those issues on that side of the ball today in round number 1. So to me, some players to look out for in round number 2. Obviously, guys who could have and should have been taken in round number 1. I'm going to start off with the middle linebacker from Georgia, Nakobe Dean, a little bit undersized, but this guy can run sideline to sideline. He's a pure tackler, and being that, he didn't get picked in round number one, he's going to be extra motivated for whoever takes him. I'm looking at the Giants potentially at number 36 and then Seattle because Seattle has number 40 and number 41, eighth and ninth overall. Tomorrow in round number two, I don't see Dean getting past one of these teams there. And then Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. A lot of people feel like he has the athleticism, the dual threat ability, and tremendous upside. Could the Giants make a play for him at round number two? I'm not sure. But the thing is like I do think the Giants take a quarterback at some point in this draft. But for me, it would be a headline stealer and for the New York papers if Joe Shane were to make a move for Malik Willis out of Liberty early on tomorrow in this draft. And then once again, Seattle at number 40 or 41. I mean, I just don't see a situation where the Seahawks are going into the season saying that Drew Lock is their long-term answer at quarterback. And then possibly Detroit at number 46. They could be a landing spot for him as well. Like there were rumors that the Lions were looking at Kenny Pickett at number 32. Obviously, that didn't happen. So you have one more year with Jared Goff on the contract. Do you want to like start looking for his heir apparent, so to speak? You know, but we'll have to wait and see. So I think there's going to be tremendous action tomorrow. We saw a lot of trades today, a lot of trades that are going to impact how things go tomorrow. And I think we're going to see more trades as well. As we always see the runs on certain positions at some point. I think we see the run on quarterbacks at some point tomorrow, whether it's round two or round three, probably leaning towards round three. But I think that run is going to come and we're going to see QBs taken. But the bottom line is defense ran the show in round one of the 22 NFL draft. And like the old saying goes, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.